The Council of Aligned Worlds had quarantined Earth 3 centuries ago, sealing it behind quantum barriers that rendered the blue marble invisible to the rest of the galaxy. The official records listed it as Containment Zone Theta 9, Evolutionary Hazard. What they didn't record was their fear. Kyra was born in the ruins of what humans once called Mumbai, beneath skies choked with ash from the resource wars. She grew up knowing only fragments of truth, whispers from elders about a time when humanity reached for the stars, only to be caged like dangerous animals. The Aligned Worlds had deemed humans too volatile, too aggressive, too unpredictable to join the galactic community. She was 17 when she found the old research station buried beneath the collapsed towers of the financial district. Inside, frozen in time, sat a single pilot scout ship, human-made from before the quarantine. Its AI core flickered to life at her touch. 73,412 days since last activation, it announced. Welcome, human designate. I am Archer, Autonomous Reconnaissance and Contact Heuristic Entity Resource. Can you fly? Kyra asked, her voice barely a whisper. The question is not whether I can fly, Archer replied. The question is whether you dare. The quantum barriers weren't designed to keep humans in. They were designed to keep the galaxy's attention out. Archer slipped through them like a ghost, exploiting a fundamental flaw in alien thinking. They had never imagined a species would willingly tunnel through quantum foam without gravitational anchoring. It was insane. It was impossible. It was exactly what humans did best. Kyra emerged near the Kepler Nexus, a vast trading hub where 17 species conducted commerce under the Council's watchful eye. Her ship, primitive by their standards, held together with salvaged parts and desperate hope, should have been vaporized on sight. Instead, the Nexus went silent. The Vryn were the first to respond, their crystalline warships forming a perimeter around her tiny vessel. They were the Council's enforcers, beings of pure logic who had never known defeat in 10,000 years of peacekeeping. Quarantine breach detected, their commander transmitted. Human vessel powered down immediately. Resistance is futile. Kyra studied the 12 warships surrounding her, each one capable of atomizing a small moon. She thought about Earth's children starving in the ruins. She thought about humanity's stolen future. No, she said simply. The Vryn commander felt something it had never experienced before. Confusion. You have 100 vessels. We have 12 capital ships equipped with reality-shearing weapons. Compliance is your only logical option. You're counting wrong, Kara replied and launched Archer's entire database into the Nexus's open communication network. What flooded through the galactic net wasn't a weapon. It was 300 years of human survival. The Vryn watched in growing horror as the data unspooled. Humans living in toxic wastelands, building gardens in irradiated soil. Humans crafting medicine from extinct plants through sheer trial and error. Humans writing poetry in the ruins, painting murals on broken walls, teaching children mathematics by candlelight. Species after species across the Nexus accessed the transmission. They saw what the Council had hidden. Earth's 50 billion inhabitants weren't dying. They were thriving in conditions that would have exterminated any other species within a generation. Why, the Vryn commander finally asked. Why survive? You had no hope of rescue, no promise of future. By all logical calculations, your species should have descended into extinction or barbarism. Why persist? Kyra smiled, and in that expression was compressed 3 centuries of human defiance. Because we're too stubborn to quit. Because we're too curious to give up. Because we're human and we don't need your permission to exist. The Nexus erupted in chaos. The Melnari Collective, who had voted for Earth's quarantine, suddenly faced riots from their own populations who were horrified by the cruelty. The Cithran Hive, master geneticists, recognized in human DNA something they had theorized but never observed. Evolutionary adaptability that operated in real time, driven by consciousness itself. The Council convened an emergency session. For the first time in galactic history, they were unanimous, not in their decision but in their fear. Humanity had done the impossible. They had survived conditions specifically designed to break them and emerge stronger. The vote to lift the quarantine passed 8471 to 3. Kyra returned to Earth 6 weeks later, leading a fleet of supply ships from 40 different worlds. The quantum barriers dissolved like morning mist. Humanity, battered but unbroken, looked up at stars they hadn't seen in 300 years. The Council offered Earth a seat at the table, not out of charity but out of terror of what humans might do if kept isolated any longer. They had learned a fundamental truth that reshaped galactic politics. You could chain humanity, but you couldn't contain them. You could quarantine Earth, but you couldn't quarantine the human spirit. Kyra stood before the assembled representatives of the aligned worlds, this girl from the forbidden planet, and they all understood the new reality. Humanity hadn't been given a place among the stars. They had taken it. And across the galaxy, in 1,000 different languages, one phrase echoed through diplomatic channels, part warning, part recognition, part reluctant respect. Never cage a human. They'll only prove they never needed the cage. The stars didn't kneel before Kara because she conquered them. They knelt because she reminded them that the measure of a species isn't how well they thrive in paradise. It's how magnificently they refuse to surrender in hell. And humanity, forged in Earth's quarantined fires, had just taught the galaxy what true resilience meant.